The new Parkway Theater, where good food, diverse entertainment, and community create a place for everyone. For showtimes and special events, check out www.thenewparkway.com. You are listening to High Score 510, where real talk is our vernacular.
They call me butt naked because I used to fight naked.
They call me butt naked because I used to fight naked.
Because I was naked, because I fought naked.
Shout out to Vice News sponsorship.
Shout out to my boy General Butt Naked, keeping that suit white as can be while walking and hanging out in the cemetery in Africa.
Man, he had that good cleaners. They was like,
once I'm naked, no bullet can affect me.
Man, he must have had some good starch to starch. No bullet could affect that suit because it was so starched up to keep that dirt off of it.
Yeah, he had a Teflon suit.
He was in a
Teflon
cemetery that was dug up, walking around, and I had no dirt on that white suit.
He knew how to keep it clean, man.
They called me General Butt White Suit.
I feel good.
Hey, guess what? I was on Netflix the other night, and I saw Bright on Netflix has they have music videos from the movie.
Yeah, I saw that on there.
And it's like 4 episodes or 4 videos. And they got some music videos by like Migos did a song for it that they did a music video for, and then Machine Gun Kelly did one.
How's Machine Gun Kelly still got a career?
The crazy part is this. The crazy part is that you know how they in Bright, the movie Bright, shout out sponsorship. They had
one with Will Smith.
Yeah.
Why are you always talking about that movie, man? Why are you always motherfuckers talking about that movie?
He really likes that movie. He might fake it, but he really likes that movie.
So you remember they had the gangsters that were like barbecuing in the front lawn, supposed to be like South Central or whatever, right? They were in the movie for how long?
Probably like a total of maybe a minute and 20, 30 seconds.
They were in that music video for like 2 whole minutes. They was in the Machine Gun Kelly music video longer than they were in the real movie.
For the movie.
Yeah, the main dude that was sitting there talking to Will Smith.
My boy Clark.
So they filmed that shit longer in the music video of the movie than the movie itself.
He probably made the majority of his money from the majority of his screen time being in that music video for Machine Gun Kelly. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? That was really weird.
That was a dude from Training Day.
Yeah.
He's a real game banger. No, the one that played the game banger Bones in Training Day, the black dude.
That guy,
I think he had a do-rag. He's wearing a do-rag. Yeah, he's wearing a do-rag.
He's done a lot of movies.
Yeah, he does a lot
of Mexicans.
No, not that one. The black dude, right? That one right there.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he looked like Paul Mooney's son.
He was one of the guys that got hit by Suge Knight when Suge Knight, he was in jail for that hit and run. He was one of the people he hit.
How did he hit him?
In the car.
Oh yeah,
he showed up.
Hit them with the car
when they were filming Straight Outta Compton.
Because this dude's name is Clee Bone, and he's a game banger, and he was in this great documentary called City Bastards of the Party. But anyway, he's like the one that movies hire when they want to make sure they portray the gangsters right, the gang bangers in L.A. and things like that. So he was on the set of Straight Outta Compton. He was working on the set, and your boy Suge Knight shows up.
My boy, that's your boy, though. Your cousin.
There's enough niggas in here to make a Tarzan movie.
Well, Jared boy. So Suge Knight shows up because, he's like bitching about shit and seeing how he portrayed and all this. And all
were they breaking him off with some money?
No. He's like just bitching. He heard that they were making a movie. This fool ends up running over this dude and a friend of his.
After he gets out of jail. After he gets out of prison.
This is why he's in prison now, because he ran over his friend.
Killed one of them.
I thought he was doing in prison and then he gets out and
he got out again, and now he's back in because he ran over these people and killed one of them that happened to be Suge Knight's best friend, one of his good friends.
And he killed his best friend.
Dude, he was trying to hit somebody else, but the best friend was trying to, stop him or something, and the guy.
You know what Suge Knight always says?
If you get your ass kicked, you know you made it.
Yeah, exactly. Just to let you know how much of a game banger Sloan is, he, after getting hit by Suge Knight, he refused to testify in court because he said he ain't no snitch.
Come on. It's like we have video evidence of him running you over.
Yeah, he did.
I don't know who hit me.
Yeah, he ain't no snitch.
Why you want me to fucking snitch?
I should have used the crosswalk. All right, let's get into. We had a question last week from Copeland Crid of Instagram. He came out and asked us our top 5 West Coast hip hop artists. Actually, it was top 10 West Coast hip hop artists all time, and we reduced it to 5. So we thought it'd be best to do our top 5 East Coast artists, not Dirty South, not Midwest, but East Coast hip hop artists. Top 5 all time. All right, so we'll start with Aaron.
Yes.
Go ahead, Aaron. Who are your top 5,
My top 5
East Coast hip hop artists all time?
My top 5 all time, EPMD. That's 5. I got EPMD. Great albums. Every album was a hit. They all went gold because, albums didn't sell a lot, rap albums back then. Rakim, very important. One of the greatest lyricists ever. Had that voice, too. My number 3 is Tribe Called Quest. A Tribe Called Quest.
We said artist, right? Not group. Right? Is the question artist?
I think you can a group can be an artist. It's an artist group,
okay.
right? So
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Because together, they were tight together.
Yeah.
Even with Jerobi, and everybody, and my boy Ali Shaheed. I mean, it was tight. Tribe Called Quest, man. It's the greatest album. Some of that. It's one thing I say I listen to each week is Tribe. Nas is 2. Represent New York. No one represents New York like Nas. Like his style is all New York. Like ain't no sellout, ain't no nothing. It's New York. Number 1, not one of my favorite artists. I love his first album, Reasonable Doubt. Jay-Z, Reasonable Doubt, one of my favorite Jay-Z albums. I mean, he has some other albums I like. I got some songs off the Blueprint here and there, and some other songs. But Reasonable Doubt was my favorite album. But he's there because he's just, you can't have this list without him. Not one of my favorites. I mean, if it was just favorite, it'd probably be either Gangsta or DMX in there. DMX, I like to tell you this. The reason why he made his second album the way it was, The Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood, you realize none of those songs could play on the radio. He was upset that the first album, he felt like it got too commercialized and too radio play. That's why he came out with Flesh of My Flesh when not one song could be played on the radio, and it was tight. Remember, that album came out like months after. It felt like it was like 6 months after.
So he didn't want nothing to be played on the radio.
Was that his second album?
His second album was Flesh of My Flesh, yeah.
That's the one that he's like covered in blood?
Covered in blood.
Yeah, shout out sponsorship. J-Zeus.
All right.
Who you got?
I have RZA.
Oh, by the way, J-Zeus is if you don't know, J-Zeus is our East Coast correspondent.
That's why we're doing the East Coast.
He's our East Coast Caribbean correspondent, so he knows the entire East Coast better than we do. He lived it.
He lived it.
All right, sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
All right. I got to say RZA because, he's the one who created Wu-Tang. He was the mastermind behind it, and he's the one who's produced the beats for the Wu-Tang. So if it weren't for RZA, there wouldn't be no Wu-Tang. So RZA. And I got to go with Tribe for sure. Mm-hmm. I thought this was like artists, so I was saying Q-Tip.
Yeah.
But, Tribe.
Yeah.
Because, Q-Tip would have not been able to do the stuff he did without the others. But, for a long time, people didn't know how much he was producing those albums.
Yeah, I didn't know that for a long time.
Yeah, it came out in that documentary.
Yeah, that he
wouldn't put his name and taking credit for it. He put it down as a group effort.
Yeah,
which I thought was very humble and great of him. But when the Laundry came out, he said it. I'm the one producing all these hits, and I'm not taking credit for anything. So Mm-hmm. And I would have to say Gangstar, because Guru and DJ Premier, timeless beats, And then KRS-One is another one of mine, because he's the teacher. His lyrics always been on point. And Kool Keith is my 5th one.
Is there a particular order? He's the fifth best, or is he number 1 best?
Oh man, I don't know. That's kind of rough to put him in order.
It's hard to put him in order.
Hey, was Kool Keith? Was he also the bad villain?
No.
He wasn't.
No, I don't think so.
He was. Oh, he's not Victor Von Doom, MF Doom.
No,
he put
people? Dr. Doom,
but he wasn't MF Doom.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a difference. Yeah, he had over 12 aliases. Kool Keith. Which both of them, KRS-One and Kool Keith, were both from the Bronx.
Yeah.
But a lot of people sleep on Kool Keith.
The bridge is over.
But he's been around since '84.
The bridge is over. The bridge is over.
The bridge is over.
It's a good list. Can you go back over the list one more time?
I would say RZA,
Mm-hmm.
Tribe Called Quest.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm putting them in order, KRS-One, then Kool Keith, and then Gangstar.
Okay. For me, I'm gonna go with The Roots is number 5.
Ooh, yeah, that's good.
I like their style, their flow, their kind of
A live band.
They're a band, yeah. That's their shit was tight to me. Even though not everything was like a banger, was like super tight. Like I could appreciate like the fact that they were putting together music
and original,
and the flow was always solid, and the message always seemed to be quality. So I always appreciated them. My number 4 would probably be Nas. Because I don't really listen to Nas too much. I like Nas a lot, though. He was tight. Nas was cool. But knowing, like, all the songs that he did do and some of the stuff that, like, you know, I just hear. And, like, I know that song, but I don't, you know, I didn't really, like, buy the album. But I know that song, and it's, like, an important song in my understanding of hip-hop. Nas is number 4. Number 3 would probably be Biggie. Biggie's tight. I always liked his stuff, but didn't like him more than Tupac, but he was tight. Biggie's good. People might be mad at me for that, but Biggie.
It was a hard list.
Yeah, it's a tough list. East Coast had a lot of artists. A lot of artists. Yeah, so I would say Biggie's number 3.
Man, you remember that verse that he said? That this girl was so fine that I'll suck his daddy's dick. Mm-hmm. You know about that verse?
From the first moment I seen I heard my life was a fix.
Dude, it's crazy as fuck.
Yeah, you were so fine, I was sucking your daddy's dick. Yeah. Trust me, that was one of the first albums I bought in college was Biggie Smalls Notorious B.I.G., the first one. And I listened to that shit.
That shit was crazy, right? You hear that shit and you're like, what
When
the
I first
hell?
met you, I thought my life was a fix. It was so fine, I was sucking your daddy's dick.
Yeah, he always had verses that were like that.
Mm-hmm. I got a story to
caught you
tell.
off guard.
You about to match a moment?
Oh, shit, no.
You a whole cokehead out here, bro.
Nigga, you gonna suck his daddy's dick for that?
Dude, that's what he said.
Right. Not let his daddy suck his dick, but he was suck his daddy's dick.
I'll suck your dick.
She must have been that fine.
You know what? I appreciate he took it to a level that most people wouldn't even, you know, be able to get at.
Let you know.
It was his first album too, so he was a hungry.
Yeah, he was trying to get out there. I bet you all the old heads of hip hop were looking around and look at the white people looking at them like,
they're getting them some new niggas.
You know?
He's down to suck some dick.
Drop some shit about Biggie you don't know. Not to cut you off, but I just had to say that because a lot of people don't know that about that verse from Biggie.
That's funny.
Marcy Projects.
Marcy Lala.
That's what J-Z.
J-Z is probably like not in my top 10. But anyways, number 2 on my list, Lauryn Hill.
Ooh,
I thought about it, but then I thought she only had one album. Unless you count her with the Fugees.
She had the Fugees.
And then that makes 3.
She had her solo album that was like ridiculous.
It was ridiculous.
It did ridiculous.
It
was like
it was almost on Bobby Brown level.
It was worth 5 Bobby Brown albums. That's what I was about to say.
It was almost on Bobby Brown.
Oh man, Aaron,
it was the success of all 5 Bobby Brown albums. Barely even came within range of that success of that album.
I have to agree with Jarrett on that one.
I know. I just said that just to fuck with you guys. But just because Jarrett wasn't giving Bobby Brown credit.
Bobby Brown don't deserve that much credit.
The level of her singing and rapping.
No. It was tight. It's tight. I went to see her in concert after she made that album.
She's tight.
Before she started crying and acting stupid.
Before she went crazy or something.
No, as an artist though, she can flow. Her flow was tight. She could spit her.
See, I also count.
That's a really good. I slept on that. I would have probably added her to my 5.
I thought about Biggie, but I just thought they didn't compare it to all these other people who just got mad tight albums. I couldn't put them higher than them.
And then
people with 5 albums.
People with 5 albums, yeah.
I couldn't put them higher.
That's why, yeah, that is true.
Yeah, no, I get it. Like she didn't put out the amount of work, but at the same time, the quality of her work was legit. And for me, it plays to my, you know, for me in my formative time, it was some big shit. So that's why she is.
I just want to let you know that album was on the Billboard, #1 on Billboard too, just like Bobby Brown. Don't be cruel.
He's really hung up on this Billboard.
I know
thing,
he's jock riding Bobby Brown. How long was it on Billboard #1 for?
That's a great question.
That's a great question. And then my number 1. The greatest Haitian of all time.
Oh shit!
Who's he gonna say?
Oh shit! No, it shouldn't even be on the list.
Who's he saying?
The greatest artist.
I can't believe this, dude.
Who's he gonna say?
Number 1.
He overrating this person more than Puffy is.
Dylan. Who got choked by Dylan? my boy Wyclef Jean.
Oh,
shout out sponsorship.
Wyclef is your number one.
That's his number one.
Oh my God. He must have left an impression on you with all those songs.
Someone please call 911.
Wow.
Man, he had my girl Mary J. Blige out there singing, talking about shooting niggas. Man, that was a tight song.
Damn, you put him as your number one.
Well, he produced the Fugees album. He produced his own album, which was super tight.
He didn't produce Lauren's album, though.
No, I don't think so. He might have helped and worked on some things, but he broke her heart, so they kind of like they went to.
They were together,
ways. So that's how.
Yeah, they was fucking around.
He was married and he was cheating on his wife.
Yeah, he was fucking with Lauren, and then it didn't go well, and then because she was younger,
she wanted it to end.
But what I will say is he did his own album, and his Carnival album to me was like by far one of my favorite albums. Just like Carnival was a very eclectic album. It had like Caribbean influences. It had hip hop, rock influences. It was a gambit of different sounds.
It's only one album, though.
It was one album, but he produced everything. He did his mediocre raps on top of it, and had some other people come on and feature on it and did some tight shit.
Wyclef, number one.
Shout out.
You know what? I'm gonna give you that since your age. And you did give some heavy hard hitters for your top 5. But if you were my age, if you were my age and you would have said Wyclef.
Any age.
No.
All right. Shout out to Wyclef sponsorship. Come on our show.
Wyclef would have been good, for his age. How old were you when that album came out? You were like 10 or 11?
No, I was like 13 or 14. Which one? Fugees?
The Carnival.
Carnival, I was like 14 or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I was starting high school. Like for me, in that time, it was a tight album that was not just like the typical album that everyone else was getting. It was too.
But you lived through that album, is what I'm saying.
I lived through it, yeah, and that's why it's important to me. Just like Bobby Brown, Aaron lived through Bobby Brown.
No, that album was just tight, dog.
Come on,
look at where Wyclef was.
All right,
on the Billboard.
here's a challenge to all our listeners out there. Go on Spotify, Pandora, whatever you listen to, download, or if you own it, listen to the Wyclef Carnival album from track 1 through track 23 or 24, however many tracks it is, and all the interludes, and it kept a little bit of that Fugees The Score album, because remember the Fugees The Score had the little interludes and little characterization.
If you were younger or older, I would have been raising an eyebrow at you.
It made it up to number 16, which is still great.
What
for Billboard?
What, Wyclef?
The Carnival. Even 16.
What about Lauryn Hills though?
Lauryn Hill was number 1.
For how long?
I couldn't find out how long, but it was tight. Dude, she wrote all the songs. She didn't produce nothing.
She's tight.
She did all the writing.
She did all the stuff. Yeah, because she was the star of the Fugees, obviously.
Let me tell you, hearing your
Proswell was the worst of all.
But you needed some
guy. Had a great hit though.
You have a pretty good list, but you really threw me off with that Wyclef.
I like to do that.
His list is great.
But now, no, it surprised me. Carnival really didn't take off like it.
It wasn't really
like it was like The Score did.
It was a hip hop album that was very much tied to his ethnicity. It was nationality, being Haitian and from the Caribbean, and it.
He could have gone more pop for sure, but he didn't.
I appreciated that. So the reason why I really love that album is I bought it for Guantanamera, right? Because that was like the number 1 single off of it. And then Gone to November was like on there too. I could listen to the whole album all the way through and be content. Or I found like 3-4 other songs that I like more than the song which was the reason why I bought the album.
It is
which tells me, speaks to me about the fullness of the album, especially it being over 20 tracks. Some of them were little interludes, so there's a couple little interludes, but they also had musical, notes to them that were also very unique and interesting. Granted, he's probably not the most talented lyricist. He's not necessarily even the most talented producer out of everybody, but like he's really good with.
So let's hear your top 5 again.
It was Roots,
yeah.
Nas, Biggie, Lauryn Hill, and Wyclef.
Nice.
All right, so we have a little fan mail.
It sound like we ain't got no damn fan mail.
We got some fan mail. So the fan mail I have is coming from RC02 on Instagram. He wants to know, now that this scheme is cracked wide open, will most teams fold up their own cheating schemes, resulting in a drop in upward offensive trends baseball has seen over the last couple seasons? To kind of summarize it, now that this scheme has been, blown up in a big way, do you think that other teams whose forms of cheating haven't been discovered yet? Do you think they're going to pack it up and not use it for a while, which is going to result in less offensive numbers in baseball?
No, I think the offensive numbers will still be up there. I think the team, I'm not of the belief that everybody's cheating.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's baseball. You're allowed to cheat a little bit. You're allowed to, if you're on second base, you can steal signs. You could do things like that. I mean, hell, you can steal a base. Right?
Yeah.
So cheating.
It's called stealing.
It's called stealing. So obviously it's allowed. But they're not, you can't use technology. I think the teams that got caught have been the teams that, and that's the reason they won 2 World Series, have been successfly really butchering the system.
Using way too much technology.
How did they get in trouble, though?
One of the former players went on The Athletic and attested to the fact that the Astros were using recording systems to basically cheat. And he told it to reporters. They wrote a whole thing on it, and it basically got blown up. And then, Aaron, what did Jessica Mendoza come out and say?
So Jessica Mendoza, who's former collegiate softball player, great analyst, great baseball analyst, she came out and said she was unhappy and very, very, she's uncomfortable with how the news came out. And her exact words were, "It didn't sit well with me. It honestly made me sad to the sport that this is how it found out, that a player went to a journalist and told him about the cheating." She said, but it came from within. She said he benefited from the regular season when he was part of that team, and she was fine if he told his future teammates and helped them win, but she didn't like that he went public with it.
Damn.
So
what do you think about that statement?
I think she's confused. That's how I'm putting it. Because he went public with it, and when he went public, he said the reason he did it is because he's on a different team. He's seeing like young players, pitchers trying to pitch, and they're getting blown up, but he knows the team's cheating, and he's like, it's hurting these dudes' career and their money and their livelihood. So that's why he came out with it.
Do you really think he's trying to protect the integrity of the game, by him, the way he came out?
Well, maybe not the integrity, because he didn't come out when he was on that team. He came out a year later. I think it hit him when he wasn't on that team no more.
Yeah, he realized it. Like I was reading this article my brother sent from the Great Falls Tribune. It's about the 150-year anniversary of a massacre at the Bear River Massacre, or they call it the Baker Massacre, because General Baker like murdered like a bunch of Blackfoot Native Americans. The scout that was part of the regiment, because they had the Native Americans had killed a white trader that had raped a Native American woman, so they killed him for that. And because they killed a white man, they sent out a group of army to go find the subsect of that tribe that had killed the guy. And the scout that was out ahead and who knew Native Americans and was like able to interact and could like tell who was who, was like, we've come upon, like, we came up to this camp or this village, and it's not the subsect of that tribe. It's not that branch of the tribe. It's another one. This is somebody else who's actually like ally with us. And basically the general was like, fuck that, let's kill them all.
We're tired of.
Yeah, so they basically just massacred over 200 people that were, in the middle dead of winter. And a couple of them survived. Like one of the chief's daughter like was able to run off. Story said like the chief's daughter like and her little sister started running. The mom was like, run. And she grabbed her sister to start running. Her sister got shot and killed as she grabbed her. And then her mom was like, go. And she ran and like dug in a cave at the bank of the river and hid for a day. Then a couple other people escaped. But more or less, the scout who was like, this is not the right tribe, this is not who we should be shooting at, like after the fact, like he felt guilt and remorse, so he adopted surviving Native Americans. A couple of the people that he found out were survived or knew survived from that tribe, and adopted them, but then didn't tell them the story of who they were necessarily, or like didn't, like basically just like, you're part of my family now, we're gonna try and forget that part of your history. So it's kind of like similarity to that. Like he probably felt some guilt, and he's trying to change the narrative of what he took part in. Is something, a terrible travesty. He's trying to right that wrong in his own way, but you know, being part of it can never truly right that wrong, right?
And I think for Jessica Mendoza, she has like a conflict of interest because she works for the Mets too.
Yeah, and she works for she's working in party. She's working in cooperation with MLB baseball. She doesn't want to do anything that's gonna challenge the code of the game, because that's a big part of baseball, is the code. So
I'm just upset because the players hadn't been.
Well, what are they using? How are they using the technology to cheat?
They were using like
using
a camera.
drones. What are they doing?
They were using a camera that they placed, like a hidden camera, where it could steal the signs.
So
right?
they had a
It
camera.
looks like at the catcher when it gives the pitcher the signs, and then somebody that it had a real time relay to their dugout in their little back room, and somebody would bang on the trash can whenever
a certain pitch would become, so they wouldn't be able to like,
so
hey,
the batters could listen.
This is dead red. This is fastball. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or this is going to be off-speed pitch, so don't swing at this one.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or be looking off-speed.
Wow.
Basically just tipping them off. It's like insider trading.
And then
to
someone
varying
banging
degrees.
on a baseball bat against something gives them the sign.
Yeah, you could hear it. Boom. And then the next layer to it was that they were actually using buzzers, so like little buzzing devices that had like
That
some
were
radio
wearables
remote
under.
control to where they could buzz it, and they'd feel a little buzz
And that'll tell
on
them
their
which pitch
hand
was
or on their
well,
chest.
it's underneath. Yeah, you
Under
can
their
tell.
clothes to be like, anytime you get a buzz, it's a fastball. This game, anytime you get a buzz, it's going to be off-speed pitch.
Did you see Jose Altuve after he hit that?
Yeah,
you
he's
know,
like, don't take my shirt off.
Yeah, after he hit the game-winning home run in the playoffs to go to World Series, he was yelling as he's running base, yelling to his teammates, "Don't take my shirt off."
He's like-
and he's serious, and he's like, "Don't take my shirt off." And then he's holding his shirt. The crazy thing is, he's holding his shirt.
Man.
He just hit the game-winning home run. They're going to World Series. Teams out there celebrating, throwing, and he goes straight to the dugout.
Oh man, that's really scandalous
Yeah,
for
yeah.
baseball to take a hit like that now.
Well, it's interesting because Boston's being, called out for some stuff that's unsavory use of video footage also, and the fallout is they basically lost 2 years of first and second round draft picks, which is like not a big deal.
Right.
I think that was the main thing, and then their GM and manager got suspended for the whole season, this upcoming
the owner
season.
fired him.
And then the owner just fired both of them, and then they got fined some money, but there's nothing that's going to stop them from being able to be relevant in the next future seasons, other than the fact that they lose a couple of draft picks.
So you agree then? If
No,
this
I
was
think
if this was a football scandal,
it would have been. It probably would have been
way more.
worse. It's hard because typically these cheating scandals, like with video, like the Patriots, they lost draft picks and money.
Yeah.
But no coaches were necessarily suspended. No players were suspended from it.
That is
So
true.
yeah, it is worse when you have a team who's using some kind of systematic form of gaining an advantage. You're really actually tangibly affecting a greater proportion of the fairness of the game versus one player cheating, one player doing PEDs is helping himself, which if he's a big part of the team could be a big deal. But if there's a lot of guys who cheat and aren't big deals on their team, and they end up just not being good anyways. One individual taking steroids gets punished harder than if a team is trying to change the actual fair, balanced format that you have that's being adjudicated by the referees on the field. And that's a big deal.
Here's a great thing. So that team won the World Series that year, right? The Astros. Like their assistant coach, basically.
He got hired by the Boston
And he
Red
got
Sox.
hired by the Boston Red Sox the next year after that, who won the next World Series.
Oh.
And they're being investigated now.
For having a clubhouse video camera. Yeah.
Yeah, they also had a camera and an Apple Watch.
Like Mike Fiers is no angel in the situation, but I give him credit for coming out and be like, bro, this is what's going on. Our game's being basically starting to be controlled by motherfuckers using technology to like manipulate every game. And the game is like gonna suffer. Like that's one thing that's gonna make the game suffer. Like baseball is dealing with a lot of shit already. It's already dealing with the fact that like motherfuckers are getting hit in the head and getting permanent brain damage, like that 2-year-old kid. You got the pace of play is slow, so you got people like becoming less and less interested in it. And
Less
then
black people in the game.
less
right?
black people in the game. See, this is where I think this is exactly where I think baseball is like, man, I wish we had more brothers in the game right now because we could have one of them say something off top and we could distract everyone from this whole scandal because to be like, oh, look at Yasiel Puig acting like a nigga even though he ain't a real nigga. You know what I'm saying? But Yasiel
Puerto Rican one?
Puig, they send him to Cincinnati, and all of a sudden now they can't bank on him acting like a nigga in L.A. or in Miami because he over here in Cincinnati being real cold and frigid around a bunch of white people like Dave Chappelle.
What are you talking about? He got in a couple fights.
Baseball needs this not to happen because baseball is already it's on the precipice of being like a dying star or a dying sport like boxing, right? I think it has enough legacy and enough infrastructure to where it's gonna be okay because it represents a wholesome side of America. I was talking to Jason, shout out Jason Neely sponsorship. I was talking to him about like what each sport represents in our society's makeup, and baseball represents a core foundational component of just like the center of what
And that's
America
really interesting
represents.
how you compared it to a dying star like boxing because a lot of people feel like they got disinterested in boxing because it was a rigged sport, right?
Yeah. And
So
you don't
that's
want
interesting
that.
You say that, yeah.
We got some feedback. I asked on Instagram, what do you think should happen? Do you think that the Astros were punished enough? And we got 50-50 back and forth on that, saying that they thought it was fair versus not enough. But a couple people thought that they should, either some of the players should be suspended. Another person responded saying that they think that there should be more draft picks should have been taken away or potentially disqualified from like playoff contention was another thing. I personally think they should have a hard salary cap for the next several seasons. If you're not going to suspend the players, you put a hard salary cap. So they're not going to be able to keep this core. Yeah. They're not going to be able to afford this core, right? So you're penalizing them in that your window is now, and if you guys don't win in the next like two years, you guys are not going to be able to afford to keep everybody here, or you guys are going to be taking pay cuts to stay here. And no other team in baseball has a salary cap. But if you were to put a salary cap on a team as a punishment, I think that would actually be a very interesting way of curtailing people from doing stupid shit or trying to cheat. So that's what I think they should do. Put a salary cap on them. Give them a hard cap of like the Oakland A's budget that they got. Be like, you got to play with the Oakland A's budget for the next 10 years. Like, no! Like, no! There's the big debate of whether or not they should lose their title.
That's me. I'm for the lose.
Aaron is biased, so we cannot take his word at 100% unbiased. He does like baseball, but they beat the Dodgers.
I don't want them to give it to the Dodgers though. I think that's stupid.
No, it should be vacated for that year.
Vacated.
I agree.
Vacate every college. Vacate. They take away Olympics medals. Every amateur athlete they take away stuff. Why can't they do it for a professional athlete?
Because there's different money, different power structure. But I do agree they should vacate that title. I think that would also be another way of like just being like, don't do this shit because you will lose the whole season. We'll treat you like NCAA. Because even Pete Rose came out. Pete Rose came out was like motherfucker, all I did was bet on a couple games.
All I did was bet on a couple games, not against his team, and he's banned for life.
Yeah.
I would say if you did find out, see, here's the problem. The evidence is all circumstantial about the whole buzz thing. That part is.
Wait, what is it?
You know what I said, man. You about to interrupt the flow. You know what it is.
Circumcision.
Wait, what word is it?
Circumcision.
This magic moment.
It's all circumstantial. I agree.
It is. So you can't really do anything against player stats. In the future, if it wasn't, you could say, hey, you know what? We're gonna take away this year. Think about how much that would hurt players. Like that hurts your Hall of Fame numbers. That hurts things. But vacate the title, man. You can vacate the title. They cheated their way to that title. And then when they look at the home and away stats, they were crazy. So different, even for their all-star players.
No, I agree.
It was so different. Those players that balled out and looked dope on the road sucked. That year they won the World Series. Altuve at home batted .472. 17 hits, 6 home runs, 12 RBIs. On the road, 143. 1 home run, 2 RBIs.
Oh, shit, maybe.
Correa at home, 371, 13 hits, 3 home runs. On the road, 211, 2 home runs, 4 RBI. Bregman, 273 at home, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs, away 154. McCain, his weak ass, you know they were cheating. He batted 300 at home, 1 home run, 9 hits. On the road, .037. So their swing rate on changeups and off-speed pitches went down huge.
Yeah,
in 2017.
It's just like the Patriots on Deflategate when they didn't fumble the ball ever.
Yeah. It's a direct correlation.
Well, not enough was done, I don't think. I honestly think more should have been done. And, you set the precedent with them, and then you were like, if anybody else needs this to get done to them too, we'll do it. And you know what? We're going to make sure we have a clean sport from here on out. We did it. We fucking went to Congress and had to go to Congress in 2003, 2002.
It took Congress to get steroids.
And all of a sudden, Sammy Sosa forgot how to speak English, and Rafael Palmeiro was over here lying off his ass.
Yeah. And Mark McGuire didn't know what nothing was. Didn't know where he was at.
Yeah, Mark McGuire, I forgot. What?
Huh? I don't remember.
I thought I worked at McDonald's. They just kept calling me Big Mac. I just went out there and swung.
Damn. He made no Canseco, huh?
Yeah.
Was it Canseco coming out saying that they were shitting him?
Canseco was the one that put the lid off with that book.
He took the lid off
the book and told the truth.
Well, the problem was he needed money. He needed money. Yeah. He needed money. He needed money, and he also was like somebody who was always just trying to do shit for money. But then couple years later, it comes out. Yes, everyone was doing exactly what Canseco was saying.
The Balco scandal, the
You
federal
think Ricky
scandal.
Henderson was doing the juice?
No, he was clean.
Yeah, Ricky. Hey,
was
Ricky
clean.
don't need that. Ricky don't need that. Ricky, you know what Ricky can do?
Ricky was getting. You know what Ricky was juicing up on? KFC from right down the street.
Yeah. Shout out to Bushrod Park.
Shout out to Bushrod Park and the KFC. That's all Ricky needed to do for him. Ricky stole second. Ricky stole third.
And shout out to him still being a local here. Huh?
Yeah, shout out sponsorship. Hey, you know, is it Jose Canseco's daughter is dating Logan Paul?
Is she?
I think so.
Dude, his wife is fine. Esther Canseco.
He used to beat the shit out of his wife already.
Man, he used to be fucking crazy. He's fucking crazy. He's missing a finger on his hand. You heard about when he had a celebrity boxing match? He's trying to send his brother to go do the fighting for him, and people are like, "Y'all got different tattoos, bro. This is not you."
Oh my god. What a clown that guy.
Dude, he's fucking crazy. That's one of your brethren, bro.
Yeah, you cute, crazy too. That's why I'm not in Miami.
Is that why you don't want to be called Jose?
Yeah, right, exactly too.
Well, the other thing, so Jack McDowell came out and said with the White Sox, they had a toggle light in the outfield on their scoreboard, and they had an in-house feed, and so when they would see the signs, they would do a toggle light to say what kind of pitch it was, and he said it was Tony La Russa, who was one of the executives or managers of the team, who also was the dude who oversaw the Canseco McGuire steroid era in Oakland, yet he's still making paychecks in baseball right now.
That was a big thing, man. I remember I was in Miami and Oakland A's were the shit.
It's good times, man. Oakland was big time, bro.
90s.
Yeah, man. Too bad Michael B. Jordan had his daddy killed and he couldn't, celebrate in those.
I can't believe you just said that.
Michael B. Jordan had his daddy killed.
His daddy got killed. His daddy got killed
sacrifice
right by the lake.
say.
Because he was selling guns he was selling technology, Wakandan technology.
Yeah, you
Come on, man. I didn't know what the hell you were talking about, dude.
How could you not know, man?
Come on, man. You didn't know what it was?
I didn't know, man.
Shout out to Ryan Coogler, sponsorship.
Jordan crap.
UFC 246 happened last night. The headliner was Donald Cowboy Cerrone fighting against the comeback kid of Ireland, Conor the Notorious One McGregor. After a long layoff, Conor McGregor came back to fight Donald Cowboy, I don't know what transgender people are, Cerrone. Let's just say the card was a very lackluster card. Aaron, how would you say the card was?
Yeah, I mean, it had some people. Yeah, it was lackluster.
Let's just say I forgot that there was, I was like, man, this is only the third fight, because one of the fights happened and it was so boring yet it ended quickly that I forgot it happened. Let's put it that way. There's two motherfuckers that had a Jamaican dude and some dude from Southern California with Jesus on his chest.
He was from upstate New York or some part of New York.
The white dude?
The white dude was from New York. Queens something, New York. It wasn't it was like Eastern New York.
Yeah, he basically he had Jesus on the cross on his chest, like literally Jesus.
It looked like Michael Jackson.
It looked like Michael Jackson in You Rock My World video. You remember the You Rock My World video?
Remember the Moonwalker video?
Nah,
game?
it was definitely You Rock My World video. Because remember he kept doing the slow spin and throwing his hands out like this.
Oh my God!
It was the Moonwalker Michael Jackson. It wasn't Jesus.
Oh man, damn. That's
so
bad.
There were some lackluster fights. Holly Holm fought Raquel Pennington. Boring fight. There was Anthony Pettis fought Diego Ferreira. He's Portuguese, so I don't know how they do the R's and the F's. But anyways,
like Jesus.
That was good. That was pretty good.
Like J-Zeus.
Yeah, it was boring. Then you had the Jamaican dude fighting the dude with the crucifix on his shit.
It was Jamaican dude's first ever pro fight.
On UFC fight.
Against some dude that already had 20.
Jamaican dudes.
Yeah, and then you had...
He was young. He was like a kid.
And then they had this tall black dude. I forgot his name, and I never heard of him.
Fighting some old man.
He was fighting a dude that you could see in Central Park with fingerless gloves, sipping on some soup, being like, "In my country, we didn't have it this good."
He's wearing fingerless gloves and not having pumpkin spice.
Yeah, he's fingerless gloves, sipping on some soup from a thermos from the 70s.
Yeah, one of those old soups. And that's still piping hot. For some reason, the 70s made until Hydro Flask came out. I was like, what happened from the 70s to now?
Yeah.
To Hydro Flask came out that we couldn't make shit that holds heat in.
We forgot thermoses.
For some reason, the 70s thermos held all the goddamn heat in. And he's sitting there sipping. That's what he looked like. I saw the dude, and I was like, dude, that dude look older than me, dude. And they're like, no. He looks old, but he's young.
It's those-
Age pops up. The dude's born in 1977, dude.
Dude, he was old as fuck.
They
And
lied on them papers.
Hairline back to
They lied on them papers.
bro, he had scars on the sides of his head. It looked like he had been like in bar fights.
Where
Like,
was he from, Eastern Europe?
Yeah, he's from
Yes,
Ukraine.
Ukraine.
Straight up Ukraine.
That could have been anything. That's the weird thing about it. It could have really been his age, or they just lied on some papers, just hacked some papers
probably
to
was
say
older.
that he was older
You
than he
think-
was.
Hey,
and
so you
they
know,
just lied on the papers.
So you know this dude, his last name was Olenek, but he had like 70 fights. Like
Oh
that.
my God.
But his main thing was like he's like slow punching, not a good boxer, not even a great grappler necessarily, but he would take you down, and his thing was he would grab you around the neck. Not in any specific way. He'd grab around the neck and just pull and squeeze as hard as possible because he just had some fucking goddamn.
Probably was wrestling polar bears.
Yeah, he's out here wrestling goddamn Kodak bears and shit.
You know, let me put it like this.
Kodiaks.
He started off the fight with this fight started if he throws a kick in which he falls. After that.
Oh my God.
In my country, we only grab and squeeze.
But he took some hits, I bet.
He took a couple hits, but he could eat them because he's
Some big monster.
Siberian.
The big Siberian bear. And you know what happened? He won.
He won because he just kept squeezing dude's body parts until he submitted.
He finally got the right body part and pulled. Basically, he almost pulled his shoulder out of socket.
He's the one who fought the Jamaican guy.
No, he fought this other. Where was he from?
I don't know. No, he's a black dude, regular black dude.
Some black dude, and he basically almost pulled his arm out the socket. That's how he was.
Yeah, but
It was a long 3 rounds when he finally got the one hold that was working, and he basically was pulling his arm
That's
out.
all he knew how to do was squeeze the shit
yeah,
out.
he's like, I can take a punch, but I can break you.
With my squeeze.
I'm going to break you with my
broke him.
squeezing arms.
That was the most action until he got to the McGregor fight.
In my country, we break things with our bare hands.
Gotta be careful with them ethnic white people.
He
Them
was from
ethnic
that,
white people,
dude,
man.
Yeah, he was from that Eastern Bloc when they used to get the,
Aaron
couple
was
of
like-
boxes of turnips
Aaron
from
was
Russia.
like-
when he
and-
threw that first kick and the way he was moving, I said, dude, I can't
This is
beat
over.
nobody's ass in the bar no more.
If I'm throwing punches like this trained fighter, if anything close to that, it looked bad. It looked bad.
He
Yeah,
was
it looked
stumbling.
But he still won.
But no,
He
but
could
the
take a
main thing
punch,
was
he
like
had that Eastern Bloc
he
in
could
him.
take a punch and get in to grab you, and then say, "I'm going to take you to the ground and just squeeze you."
That's probably like,
Squeeze you.
he's from those countries where you had to like take punches and buy your gasoline off the side of the highway from some truck.
He's been probably getting his ass beat since he was little.
Dude,
yeah.
he had the scars on the side of his head.
They were
say
old.
they look
They
like
tell a
somebody
story.
smashed bottles on the side of his head like a bar fight. I was like, bro, this dude's been through some shit. But let's get to the main event. The main event, other than those 4 shitty fights ahead of it.
Can I get an Irish accent during this? Joke? I got one.
Mystic Mac is out there. I came back for my vengeance. Mystic Mac,
He does a great Irish accent, doesn't he?
shout
That's
out.
like a leprechaun and shit.
Yeah, is it Irish or
It's
leprechaun?
like beyond Irish, man. He's
I
got
like
the
to call
leprechaun.
it. I like to call it leprechaun.
Leprechaun, man.
Hey, in honor of Conor McGregor, I don't know McGregor, excuse me. I didn't know is because I was looking that up on my phone, but for some reason on my YouTube page, like Irish names pop up, popular Irish girl name, and I was like, I had to send a text out to your boy Sam and ask, do they not know how to enunciate letters?
Oh yeah, they got Gaelic language though. It's
Dude,
different.
The word
It's-
knave. The name Nave, wasn't there someone that worked with you
Yeah,
named Nave?
it's spelled like usually Niaahm, and
Yes,
it's Neve.
that's how it was.
That's how you spell it. That's how you
That's
spell
kind of
it.
creepy that he knows that.
Dude, he heard his Irish accent. He might be half
knew
Chinese
that
and half
shit.
black, but you know what?
I
There's-
never even heard the
there's
word.
a third
This guy
Irish
knows how to
somewhere in
spell
there.
it. Whoa.
He's half Chinese, half black, but there's a third Irish somewhere in there.
There's something inside
There's
there.
a
huh?
third Irish. Did the 23andMe say that?
Every summer I get the look of the Irish up my ears. Up me
I can't
arse.
believe he knew the spelling and everything. It was creepy, man. You
Yeah.
want an Irish white girl. That's what you really want.
No, dude, like there was
Hey,
a
do
girl.
Irish white girls drink pumpkin spice, Jared?
Oh, man, they like pumpkin spice.
Probably with some whiskey in there.
They can drink. They like
Nah,
pumpkin.
but they don't drink
They
whiskey.
got the Irish whiskey, uh-huh.
Yeah, they
That's
do.
what's
Conor
called- it's
McGregor
not
came out
called
with his
whiskey.
own Irish whiskey.
It's not called whiskey.
Scotch
It's
is in
American.
Scotland.
Scotch is Scotland, yeah.
Okay, still whiskey and
They like
Irish.
Whiskey
pumpkin.
in Ireland.
They do enjoy pumpkin spice and some good.
Big black nigga dicks.
damn.
I ain't never heard no Irish enjoying that, Jared. Dude, where the hell you get that from?
I just need a reason to play that every episode. I've worked with a fair amount of different Irish people, so I kind of know their know, their kind of look and their style. They're cool
and the
people
Irish
for the
history.
most part. Yeah, they're very well. They were also like, and here's the thing: it's like Conor McGregor came out. It's like, don't you ever talk about my people and being discriminated against. My people were oppressed by the British. Yeah, so like they were.
When did he say that?
They were colonized by Britain. Because somebody was talking about race and him like taking advantage of the fact that he's white to act a fool and not get called out the same way black athletes get. And he got pissed off about that and tried to call it out and be like, no, bro, you're white, you're in America. It's different dynamics than in Europe where, yeah, you're lower class because you're Irish versus being British. And depending where you are in Ireland, they also still have certain kind of class systems.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's definitely a big difference in the fact that like he I don't even know where I was going with that.
Well, he's still playing on American dynamics power structures here. He's over here now.
He's taking advantage of it. He's taking advantage of the.
He's over here now.
And this is an interesting thing because a lot of people always like throw out that word racist. I'm not racist. I'm not being racist. It's not racism. And I'm like, there's bigotry and there's racism. You don't have to be bigoted to be a racist. You are typically racist if you are also bigoted, though. It's kind of like one of the like you can be a rectangle. You can be a square and a rectangle, but you don't necessarily have to be a square to be a rectangle, right?
God damn it, Jerry.
That's called geometry, baby. Shout out
He's
sponsorship.
putting philosophy and math into this shit.
Trying to put piece things together, bruh.
Damn.
But yeah, man. Like I don't even know where I was going with that too either, man. I'm losing my thoughts. This tank is hitting me hard right now.
Let's get to the main event. Man.
But he is taking advantage of it. He's taking advantage. He's taking advantage of that shit big time. He is taking advantage. Was that the question? I don't remember. Shout out.
It was more like a statement, dude. But
yeah.
anyways,
Oh Jesus. This is God. Anyways,